Hey guys, welcome back to our third installation of the Adulting series. We are joined again with two of our very talented FSA members. Before we get started, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hello,
Tony
madlang
Gonzaga.
people! Nandito na naman po ako! I am back for the second time. So for those who don't know me, my name is Xena. I'm currently working as an analyst for one of the big four.
Nice.
Karl Mendez. 50 years of architecture, doing my master's now. Currently doing my thesis based on how to improve the Filipino life in the Philippines. That's the main gist of it. And thank you, Carlo, for having me as a guest in your really, really optimistic and enthusiastic online.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Carlo, thank you for also inviting me.
So our topic for this episode is how to stay motivated when you're feeling like you're falling behind and dealing with judgment. So actually we're tackling two topics this episode. So I know Carl, you're an architect, right? You told me before that being an architect, you should be able to accept criticism.
Yeah.
Right? From your presentations.
Yeah.
It's frequent for others to question your work. So how do you deal with that?
Well, I think it comes with growth as well in those kind of environments, because before I used to think criticisms was a negative thing. But if you think about it in a long-term process, it's part of the collaboration process. So rather than being like, okay, I'm going to be the guy who's going to be designing everything in your house. I'm going to be putting this in here, putting this in there, putting this in there. So it's all individual thinking, right? But then if you think about it, you're working with someone who's paying you to do it. So at the end of the day, you have to receive those criticisms, because not only will you have an improved work, you also have an improved type of relationship with those people. So it's not really a matter of like, okay, I'm going to take criticisms, I'm going to be like the toughest guy and like handle it. It's more like being open about it because it's part of, but then if you're talking about criticisms and like, I don't know, life in general, then it's a different answer for me.
Nice.
Wag niyong taking criticisms as a negative, with a negative tone, kasi at the long run anyway, it's part of the collaboration process. Yeah. And you can only really take a good step forward when you know what the feedback was.
True.
This is based on architecture field.
Yeah.
But if you take like criticisms on life in general, then for me, I don't like it. And then I would react in a way where, oh, like you think it's this and this and this, but that's a different conversation, I guess.
I would say it's the same for at least in the field that I'm working in. Especially at the level that I'm at, since I'm starting, everything's new. I think one of the things that people should think about, aside from whether you should accept the criticism or not, is you have to accept the level that you're in at that moment, because you also have to accept the fact that you don't know everything. In fact, when I started, I didn't know anything. So at that point, criticisms are very critical. Feedbacks are the best way for you to progress, because the people, especially, you have to also think about the people who are giving you the feedbacks. They should be qualified, quote unquote, qualified per se. For all the criticisms that they're giving. In my case, they're the managers of the jobs that I'm in. So it's very critical that I receive their feedbacks, because only then you would be able to realize the different weaknesses that you have for which you could improve on. So for me, criticisms are very important, especially the level that I'm in, because someday, once you level up the ranks, you'll be the one giving those criticisms. So you need to kind of piece out, okay, so these are the things that you need to improve on and things like that, and kind of learn from those criticisms as well.
Yeah, I think also to add on to what Sina said, they're important because it's a way of communication too. So if you don't get them, that actually means you're in a bigger trouble than getting them. Because at the end of the day, if nobody really cares and they won't give you this feedback, they won't give you this step forward, they won't give you this development phase. So you look at it that way as like a mode of communication as well between you and whoever is giving you the criticism.
I think there's also that fact that you need to kind of change your mindset on criticisms. Not all criticisms are bad. In fact, what do you call that? Constructed criticism. Is that the right term?
Constructive. Well, there's a fine line between
Constructive.
insult and criticism, right?
Yeah.
If you're just there to insult the person,
criticisms
then that's
are
not criticism.
constructive criticisms are the best way for you to improve. So it's very, very critical for you to have those.
So obviously when you get criticized, kind of affects your motivation to continue to do your work. I consider both of you to be very hardworking people in your respective fields, careers. Where do you get that drive, motivation? Is it instilled in you, or did you work for it?
Oh, you want to go back to like the very, very beginning? Now, for me, like, I guess like when you ask me the question, where did I get it from? I got it as like a reaction when I was bullied, and like little things, even like, you know, like basketball and painting and drawing. As a kid, I was never really the most talented or the most whatever. So I had those reactions as a kid of like, I can show these guys what I can do. Give me like 2 weeks, give me like 3 weeks. And then I finally showed that. So like it grew from like, I guess, resistance towards those type of environments for me. Like hindi naman tayo lumaking, okay, ito matapag to siya. Ito yung palaban. Like you kind of get those in your environment as well.
Yeah.
You develop them as you keep going.
For me, the drive comes from whatever my goal was or is at that specific phase. So for example, when I was in high school, I was so motivated to get to the top 10. So the drive was, regardless of how many times I fall, so long as I get to that end result, I'll be okay.
Yeah, true.
University, I was like, I need to be in the big four. So all I care about was all the steps that I had to do, all the falls that I had to take on. So long as I had my eye on the goal, I would be fine.
Yeah, I think it's knowing. I think a big part of it as well is knowing what you really want. Because there's stuff. I know people that are talented, smart, and all that, but some of them don't even know what they want. So they actually fall. They fall easily behind on the race, or whatever, the marathon. People call it marathon these days. Because they don't know what they want. They're just naturally gifted. But you ask them, what do you want out of this? So that's a big question as well in terms of what motivates you.
Yeah. Kaya minsan naniniwala ako sa daig ng taong masipag ang matalino.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, if you know what you're really working for, then you have a direction, right? It's one thing to have direction and like, I don't know, pizzazz, like, it's just pizzazz, and then the direction will actually go somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, I agree.
So Carl, you talked about the direction towards your goal. During that, you can't help but notice other people's successes and where they're at in their lives.
Right. I know what you're going towards.
Do you ever feel the pressure from other people's success and their progress, or are you focused to that direction?
Oh man, that's actually still me at this time. Like, you can't really, I know what you're trying to get at. Like, the question is basically like, are you worried if other people are succeeding more than you at the current stage? Before, yes, I would definitely say yes. First year, second year, third year, I was comparing myself to everybody, but that was natural. But then if you look at it in a way where I've got my own lane, so this goes back to what I said about like knowing what you want, right? Because if you know what you want, then that means you have to define your own factors. Like Xena said, I have to be in the big four. That's already one factor. But then some people might not have those factors in their direction. So if you know what you want, then you can measure your own successes in your own little factors that are totally different from other person, by the way. You can never really say me and Xena have the same thing, or me and Cedric or whoever, me and Yen or whatever, because nobody's actually the same at the end of the day. You find that out when you talk to people. You find that out, and then if you really get to know them, then you're not really, if you really like get to know what their goals are and what motivates them, you find out there's actually no point comparing now. It's kind of childish at that stage, you know, like you got to get to know them. And then when you do get to know the insides of like how this person become to be, then you find out like, oh man, like I don't think I should compete with you anymore. Iba na yung iba na yung paniwala mo sa sarili mo and sa iba. Tinitingnan mo lang surface, diba? Surface level. Okay, Xena accounting, me architecture. I'm competing with architecture students. She's competing with accounting people. That's surface level. But then if you look at like the inside of the things, nah, bro. Yeah. That's what you really gotta look at.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on comparison because I think that one of the biggest catalysts to your progress is comparing yourself to other people. Xena, how do you handle that comparison?
For me, I compare myself to a lot of people. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just because sometimes it gets you the feel of what the realistic standard should be for you. It doesn't limit your abilities, but it just gives you a kind of
see where you're at type of thing, right?
A benchmark.
Yeah, like you see where you're at this moment.
So if they can do that, you'd have this idea that, okay, I can do that. If this is the average, you kind of know, okay, so above that is above average, then that's the mark that I have to hit, sort of thing. And at the same time, comparing yourself to other people is not bad, so long as you don't put it too hard. Huwag mong damdamin.
That's the thing. That's why
bad pag sobra mo nang dinadamdam. And for me kasi, for me, comparing myself to other people, that depends on there are different types of people you compare yourself to, right? There are people who have already reached your goal and you try to compare your journey to them. And there are people who are in the same race as you and you try to compare your pace to their pace. And I think my measure of, I guess you would say, comparison, or I have my own KPIs, like key performance indicators. And once I've hit that milestone, I'm good. But in order for me to form that KPI or milestone, I need to talk to these people who I compare myself to so I could form that milestone. Because I basically don't know where I'm going, right? I just know the destination, but I don't know the different pathways. So you kind of learn from all those
factors,
who are in the same race as you and those people who have already been there, if that makes sense.
On the same lines of comparison, judgment. Have you guys ever felt judged by other people because you're not where you're at?
Do that all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, especially like they put you on a bubble. Now, by this age, you have to be this. You have to have achieved that. So, what are the examples in your life na you experienced that kind of judgment?
Sa akin, baliktad eh. Baliktad sa akin. It was more of like, because ako yung first na graduate, diba, sa pamilya ko, like in my siblings. And then before, like I had a mentality, like especially third year, patapos na ako, like, ako yung first, like, like mas importante ako sa dalawa. Like a very childish thing, or like mas successful akong para sa dalawa. But then, diba, yung kapal yung mukha, like, like, I think that was the worst version of me. But that was just like, I think I needed those attitude though to like keep me in the race, because you can't deny the fact that uni is competitive, and you kind of need a certain mentality to survive, and not only survive but thrive in that environment. But for me, anyway, going back to the question, imbis na sinabi na, uy, by 21 graduate ka na, sa akin sinabi mama ko na, uy, ikaw graduate ka na, wag kang mayabang sa ibang tao na hindi pa nakatapos, because you can't really, like, going back to comparing thing, right? Like, me, my siblings, like, we had different paths in life, and there's no point comparing that because we have like very different goals now, and then I see that when I talk to them. So baliktad din sa akin, like, imbis na what do you call it? Imbis na always looking at the ladder and being like, okay, by that time you gotta be this, by this time you gotta be that. Instead of that, mine's like, by this time, like, you gotta know how to be grounded still.
Yeah.
Because unfair if I go like that, like, because I'm already in my I guess arrogance in my head, like, I'm already in the lead. Like, yung arrogante, diba? Sa tao.
Yeah.
But like, what's the point if you're gonna be like helping those people? Like, rather than looking down at them, we actually need to help them out. And however you can.
Yeah.
So baliktad din sa akin.
Ako naman, parehas tayo, Carl. Actually, yung parents ko, they never pressured me to be anything.
Oh, yeah. Same with me. It's the same. Is my reaction as well.
Ko naman, na-prove ko na yung sarili ko sa kanila. So they never really pressured me to be like, dapat ganito ka, dapat ganito ka.
Yeah.
They never did. In fact, I was the one putting pressure on myself. But going back to your question about judgment, siguro the first, kasi ang dami naman talagang judgment na marireceive ka all throughout your life eh. But I guess the one judgment that really popped into my head when you mentioned judgment was when I first came to AGS. That was the first thing. When I was in year 13, I didn't know how things work. I was just like, okay, these are the subjects that I want to do.
Yeah.
But I was new, and then I was invited to do this kind of like orientation where they guide you, quote unquote, guide you to choose your papers to study for the whole year. So I was dead set on getting stats, physics, English, accounting, and economics. I was like, yeah, those are the 5 subjects that I want to go for. So I went to that orientation, and then that teacher, I went to her, told her the 5 subjects that I wanted to do, and then she turned me down for physics. She said I couldn't do it. In fact, she laughed at me thinking that I could do it.
I was way bad at physics too. I was terrible at physics.
No, I'm good at physics. I'm not that bad in physics. That's why I was confident with taking physics. Even because I think it was because they factored in the fact that I was new. So they were kind of scared for me to take it. But come on, I've done physics back in the Philippines. I know this. I was really pissed inside because I felt belittled by these people. They undermined my abilities. So all throughout that year, well, I wasn't working to prove her wrong, but all throughout that year, I was just thinking about, I need to be in UOA, I have to be good at my ACADS, blah, 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 blah. And then along the way, I didn't know that I was able to prove her wrong. So I was happy. But yeah, that was the first thing that came into my head when you said judgment.
Yeah, for me, kasi I feel like some people box us in this notion that we have to have this X amount of achievements or we have to be in this position by a certain age, right? But for me, it's just all about the process. And it goes back to comparison as well because you can be in a totally different place from you were 5 months ago. So don't dwell on where you're in now. It's gonna happen eventually, diba?
Yeah. I think, pero my mom pressured me to be something when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Although I didn't take it as a bad thing, I took it as a challenge. I think more often than not, it depends on how you frame things or how you frame experiences in your life that makes things different. Because I didn't take that pressure into something bad. In fact, I took it as a challenge to be better and to actually show her that I can do whatever she's asking me to do.
I think another thing for me was like going back to the reaction thing. Alam niyo yung middle child syndrome?
Middle child ka ba?
Yeah. Di mo alam? Yung kuya ko, di ba?
Kuya ka!
Yeah.
Jokes.
But anyway, middle child syndrome was one thing as well that nag-react back on. I was like, okay, I'm like the least favorite. Or I saw it as that when I was a kid. But of course, I saw that as like just being childish. But like nag-develop rin yung ko na mentality na like, okay, if I'm gonna be the one the least favorite, I need to show them what I can do. So like going back to the environment as well, like like you kind of become really what your environment is giving to you. Like if you look at the most successful people, they came out of something.
Yeah.
They didn't just become successful because they were born to be. They came out of something to be that person. So that goes back to what I said in terms of like reacting.
Yeah.
It's a response for me to be this because I saw this. Therefore, I needed to do this.
Yeah.
So
I think it boils down to mindset as well. I think I've been saying mindset, but I think mindset is very powerful, I would say. Like, you can actually look at things different. You can actually see a silver lining in a very negative environment.
Yeah.
Sometimes, even if you're in a bad environment, but if you have a very strong mindset, you can actually make successful things out of those.
Yeah. And I feel like we need these challenges in our lives, right?
Imagine being complacent in 1 year doing nothing.
I've been there doing nothing. There was a point in my life where I didn't really do anything.
Oh no, that's me as well. Like yung pag-uwi ko sa Pilipinas, yung 2 months break ko.
Like literally 1 year I didn't do anything. I wasn't studying.
Oh, okay. I haven't had a year.
Nothing.
I think sa akin lang, built in na yung mentality mo. So when you're in an environment na parang bang hindi mo ginagamit yung mga skills mo, yung mga talents mo, whatever, parang bang like, nasusuka ka na, like, like, I don't want to be like,
it's hard to bounce back.
Yeah. Mahirap na yung I think that was good for me having the 2-month break. That built to like just chill and like do nothing. Like tambay ba? Tambay.
Yeah.
Ayoko maging tambay. Of course, like hindi na ako tambay. Of course, like I was about to graduate the next year. Pero like in those moments, like wala kang ginagawa and nandun ka lang sa bahay mo. Like parang bang like fuck, like this is not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, yung
Yeah.
Para bang like, like, ang dami kong dapat gawin.
Para sa akin, these challenges or like obstacles like judgment, comparison, it doesn't create character, it actually reveals it. So it's kind of good for you. I'm gonna quote a Bible. If you look at the book of James, it's one of my favorite quotes or verses of the Bible. It's James 1:2-3. It says, "Consider yourselves fortunate when all kinds of trials come your way, for you know that your trials results in perseverance," something like that. What are the lessons you have learned in your life that gets you out of the slump of being unmotivated?
Guys, para sa mga nag-interview, minsan magpa-pop up tong tanong na to. I would say ilan ba ginagawa ko? I think I do 2 to 3 things in order to get myself motivated. Remotivated. 1, accept na hindi ka laging motivated. There will be times where you actually feel a slump. So, at that point in time, just chill out and relax. Kasi it will pass through. Kaya lang, sometimes you just need to chill out. Kasi parang feeling ko, when you're motivated, you're very energetic to do the things that you have to do. And I always tell myself, you only have limited energy. There are times when it actually really go down. It will go down. And then you're going to be like, okay, you need to recharge. So sometimes it's okay to have a rest. Like, it's okay. And then in order to pick myself up, I do, 1, I remember all the failures that I had. Before, I used to have it on my wall. So that I'm always reminded, yep, Brody, you've gone to that level. So you need to pick yourself up. You can't go back there again. Or I do the other way around. I look at all the achievements that I had and be like, yep, you did it. You can do it again.
I think I don't have a 3 list. I just have one thing in my head. There's a quote that pretty much made up about those kind of moments. Because, yeah, like Xena said, accept those moments because they will come. I think for me, I've come to a point in my life where, like, when I do get there, I think about one thing, which is basically, if I give up now, just so many motherfuckers are gonna make fun of me. Like that's basically the line. That's basically the line. Like I talk all that game, and then they're just gonna laugh at me at the end if I give up now. And that's pretty much like it puts me in a good mood because you can laugh about it, and then you can also look at it in a serious note over like if you do give up now, then all those things, not only those things, but those people that were counting on you, invested in you, putting time and effort and everything. Talking about parents as well, you guys, friends, support systems. If you think about that, it's actually a lot heavier than to give up because it's a lot, like para bang hindi siya pressure, but like para bang like it's basic human emotion, I guess. Like sayang, di ba? Sayang yung dami ng pinagdaanan mo and then bigla ka lang, bibitiw.
When you're not motivated to do anything, I think that's a good opportunity to think about the path that you're in. Is it really something that you'd actually want to be in? Because sometimes it's an indication that it's not where you really want to be. So instead of you looking at it as something that's really negative, you could look at it as an opportunity to recalibrate the things that you want and to actually know where you want to go.
Because may iba rin their challenge, like some people find challenge as a good thing. For example, like I don't know, like someone wanted to be a chef, but then their parents wanted to be a nurse. Pag ganun yung pathway nila, then the challenges of being a nurse will not motivate them at all. It will just, it will just be more like, you're not doing it for yourself. So, but then, like, you really gotta. I think the skill that you really gotta develop as a human being is like self-awareness. Anong pagkatao mo. Because once you know your own game, and then once you know like why you're doing things, I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but para bang naging effortless na lang yung araw mo. And then yung parati mo like, like I gotta do this. I gotta do like, nawawala na yung mo, like pagkawalang gana, like kahit napagod ka. So I think that's one thing you really, for us, I guess, as people in general, like you really gotta know your own game.
Yeah.
When you figure that out, then a lot of things will just fall in line. No matter when you have moments where like, okay, I'm tired, okay, I'm stressed out, whatever. Practicing self-awareness, man.
My way of regaining that motivation is building habits right from the start pa lang. Doing something over and over again till it becomes second nature. So say, I started last summer having cold showers. So yan yung parang analogy. When you start something for the first time, it's not gonna be easy, right? But you build that habit, you do it every time, and you keep yourself accountable. Then eventually, you don't have to find that motivation because it's already in you, because it's part of your daily.
Yeah. I think you actually changed the question. Like rather than saying motivation, it's more like discipline now.
Yeah, true.
Think about it. Kasi motivation parang like parang fleeting moments lang yun. Whereas like you said, discipline will stay with you for how many years?
So it's kind of ironic to regain motivation. It's to not think of it as you need motivation, but
discipline.
It's like motivation is a fuel, discipline is your speed.
True.
That makes sense. Yeah, so like, if mabagal ka, sometimes it's just because nagiging imbalance or hindi ka na nagiging disciplined masyado. And then at times when you're too disciplined, sometimes it takes off some of that motivation. Because sometimes you're like, this is the way to go. This is the way to go. Sometimes you lose that flexibility. So you have to maintain a reasonable speed. And a flexible discipline as well. It can't just be too strict to yourself because there are different things that are happening at different times of the day.
Yeah, like right now we're stay at home and do our work still. And I wasn't disciplined to do this type of thing where I had to wake up next to my room and then just go to work. Wala pang ligo. Okay, let's do this. Here we go again. So yeah, man, I think right now, like, I need to find a discipline of how to get used to the environment because it's so not me. Like getting up and next to my workplace, pareho pa rin, and then I don't know. I mean, it's not bad, of course. Like I wake up and I don't have to shower.
So guys, thank you for joining me. Sana, thank you for joining me again.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
So we wanted to discuss these topics because I feel like it's a conversation that we should be having, diba?
Yeah.
So even if we're not experts in these topics, diba naman? Like we're still learning. So I can honestly say for myself that I'm nowhere near figuring out my life. So parang kailangan ko rin to. So that's so yeah.
Bro, wait, hang on, bro. Like if you think about it, okay. Kasi gano'n naman parati yung diba? Because like sana, have you had days where like, okay, kami ni sana, tapos na kami diba? Like graduate na, doing work, whatever, doing thesis. Even now, I think we're still feeling the same way. Like, may araw pa rin ako, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what is my thesis or whatever. Like, bro, like, if you really think about it, I think that's actually a good thing to not know everything. Because when you know everything, imagine like waking up and being like, wala ring excitement, wala ka ring parang wala ring meaning yung buhay mo. Gumigising ka na, alam mo na yung tungkol sa buhay. You know, like, don't look at it as a negative because at the end of the day, that's actually a good thing. You know, like
I'm still at the point where I'm still thinking about if I should still continue studying. So don't worry, you're not alone. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with my life.
Like, like me right now, like exactly what Xena said. Like, people look at me, oh my god, you're doing thesis? I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing today.
Pero it's not such a bad thing because it actually it opens your eyes to different lessons in life. I reckon. Like for me in my field, mas open ako for learning. Kasi ang dami kong hindi alam eh. So all I do is absorb things.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
so it's not such a bad thing.
Yeah. And like look at it in like in a longer scheme where 22 or 23, 22, 21 right now. And look at it if you're gonna live in like 80, 90 maximum, right? 100 if you're lucky. If you look at it in that like, you know, in that bar, like bro, we're not even halfway. And then you gotta like I think Kailangan si Gary V, the entrepreneur, but like Gary V, entrepreneur, hindi yung singer.
Okay, sige.
Ay, hindi ko alam. Ang kilala ko yung singer.
Gary V, the motivator dude on YouTube.
Yeah. Basically, he gave 20-year-olds the biggest like slap because if you think about it, we're gonna be living 4 more lives, diba? We've turned 20s, we're gonna be turning 40, we're gonna be turning 60s, we're gonna be turning 80s, and those lives are gonna be so different to what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, and then like Xena said, like learning. I think learning will be the most important skill as well.
Lagi ko lang sinasabi, huwag kalimutang huminga, continue running. Pero, have a rest.
Yeah. I support that 100%.
Huwag kalimutang huminga.
I have been in those moments as well.
On that note, thank you guys for joining our 3rd episode of the Adulting series. Take care and
see ya!